That one was spicy.
So the Warriors have to play 48 minutes.
So I see this going 7. I have it. I have the Nuggets in 7.
Ant-Man, Batman, Watchmen, Lakers at 5.
It's money time now.
What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? How you doing? How you doing, man? Just brothers just pulling up for a live after the game. JB wanted to watch the game. And I understand that. And I was, to start off, but I was saying this is a playoff where the predictable expect the unpredictable. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody thought the Indiana, even if this, you would think that OKC would be up 3-0 at this point, rather than Indiana being up 2-1. And now they're in the driver's seat, right? Game 4 at home. They stormed back. OKC never really got a chance to take a hold of this game. And the whole playoffs just went like that. Everybody predicted Cleveland. Everybody predicted Boston. Everybody thought that the Lakers in 5. Remember that? Remember we said they don't see that long ago, do it? Shannon Sharp with the Lakers in 5. They made videos with the Lakers in 5. And here we go. Here we are now. Indiana's 2 games away from winning their first NBA championship.
That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, bro, and again, now everybody's learning about the Halliburton. Benedict Mathurin was the hero of the night. Miles Turner with Big C. To me,
he played great defense down the stretch, boy.
Played great defense. Everything that Chet Holmgren wanted, he was there for a counter. SGA, the new Kobe and Jordan, right? Okay.
Come on, King Speech. SGA, he's had a better season than Jordan, Kobe
ever had. Right. But see, you know how they spin it now, right? Oh yeah, look, it's your SGA, Jordan. Bro, as I told them, like SGA's had a great all-time season, but understand there's levels. And when I say eye test, remember, like I was telling Jermaine earlier, SGA is like a helicopter, Kobe's like a fighter jet, and LeBron and Jordan's like a spaceship, like a NASA ship. You understand what I'm saying? Like that they can fly, but there's levels. Like SGA ain't flying like them. He might have a couple of the moves, and relative to this era, you can get these advanced stats and all of that. But this guy is not on that level. When they needed buckets, he was not. He did make a good step back off of contact of great defense from Nemhard. But bro,
this was crazy about it was the FYF. This was crazy about these LeBron fans. They sitting there arguing, first of all, over a player who retired for good in 2003. His last game with the Bulls was in 1998.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they talking about a situation and trying to change history. They act like Jordan didn't win.
Thank you.
They act like he put up 7 didn't win.
Thank you.
And this man was undefeated in championship play. They literally went insane.
Thank you. I really want to get this game as respect, but let's go here, man, because I got to really get into the live that I was on, Mr. FYF. And again, he probably was. If it wasn't for Johnny doing because obviously when you have two shows on the same channel, you don't want one show going when the other. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of divide the fan base.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead, sure.
After they got Luka, when the Lakers got Luka, didn't they predict that the Lakers were headed to the finals?
Oh yeah, everybody did. See, this is my thing, bro. This is my thing. We did the video where it's like, when will you guys stand on your predictions? I faced so I was right about the Knicks in the first round. I was right about the Knicks in the second round. I was right about, I want to say, 3/4 of the series that I made predictions on. Right. Obviously, the Pacers, I had them out every round. And then I even picked the OKC again, and again I did pick OKC in 6, so that prediction, still has a chance if OKC wins the next 3. But at the end of the day, when I was wrong, I said I was wrong, and then I said where I was wrong. See, a lot of these people, again and again, when I came on that stream, it was like, oh, you didn't even predict the Knicks. No, bro, I got content saying it. Oh, I don't look at your content. See, I don't like liars. Like, one thing, I could sit there and have a civil conversation with you, but don't lie on my name. Don't, I see that you're gonna frame my argument. You're gonna put me in the same argument like everybody else who comes on your platform. Bro, you can't do that. See, you know what I noticed? Man? I've been studying that cat a little bit, just on my free time. Not like I'm obsessed, because I really, you know how I feel. Me and you feel the same way. They're a hard watch. Really, to the arrogance, they think that nobody else knows anything about basketball. And when so what I see what he does, right? He tried, shout out. Look, we're in the content create space. I've always wanted to do sports rather than dating and all that other stuff. We could delve into some of that stuff, but we are sports-centered platform. But he uses the late great Kevin Samuels debating style. I noticed that. I seen him on one of his older videos where he started studying him and Tommy Sotomayor. And what they do is they try to frame the subject, right? And then they try to narrow your argument down where you have to then stick in this box. Because again, as I came up, I said, look, SGA, there's no doubt, and I'm sure that the numbers say this is an all-time great, season. But I said, bro, there's levels to this. And I said, the first thing I said, my eye test will tell me SGA offensively is not even in their stratosphere. Because again, first thing I'm going to go to is an anecdote. And I'm going to say, look at game 1. Game 1, they weren't, game 1, he had chances to close that game out. He didn't. What he's realizing now is SGA, OKC, they're a team that played up from ahead better than they play from behind, right? Or they're a team that don't execute that well down the stretch. You know what I'm saying? So in a close game, Indiana probably got the advantage. That's how I felt about the Knicks, right? The Knicks can run a team down, and we played great in close games. All season long, we played great in close games. We were 7-1 in overtime game. The one that we lost was, we lost 2 actually, 8-2, I think we wound up being. We lost that late one to Boston, and we lost to the Lakers, that one where Jalen Brunson got hurt in the overtime, right?
Oh yeah, in LA.
Yeah. But see, that's what happens. When you need a clutch player, you need a clutch player. That's a difference between Kobe, Mike, and an SGA. SGA is not a level. Trust me, bro. Okay, at the end of the day, when we talk about great statistical seasons, Harden's MVP season. Matter of fact, the season before he won MVP, he was actually better statistically, right? And then Stephen Curry in 2015-16. Those 2 offensive seasons are up there with Indiana and Jordan. Here's one thing I tried to make him understand. The thing about that is, Harden had that one season, and Curry had that one season. Now SGA has a season. Joker is one thing. Joker has a bunch of seasons where he's on the stratosphere, but because he's a big man. That's a different story, right? But the thing is with Curry and with Harden, and now with SGA, you're going to see that the league is going to adjust to what they do, right? And they won't. This will probably be their peak season, and they'll be good from here on out, but they won't be like that. You know what I'm saying? So 2016, and obviously they lost the finals. They got KD. Maybe that's because of getting KD, his numbers are going to naturally go down. But as we know, Curry never had a season like that. He's had great seasons, but that 2015-16 when he was unanimous MVP, it was never touched. Again, the league court, Harden got slower himself. Even Jordan got slower. Even Kobe got slower. But the fact of the matter is that when you compare that, you got to remember these individual statistical seasons, everybody was trying to adjust to what Jordan was doing. The same thing with Kobe. They had multiple seasons at that level. SGA has been good. He was good last year, very good. But you can see the numbers weren't quite there. 2 years ago, he was very good. The numbers weren't quite there. 3 years ago, his team was in the lottery. So, again, I get it, and it looks good. But as you see, SGA is a player you can adjust to. You can guard him. Jordan and Kobe were unguardable, especially in big spots like that. Now, they'll say, oh, well, what happened when he didn't? See, it's so funny, right? He put me in a box so I had to pick 1 year. See, that's a stupid argument. It's a stupid argument. If you're gonna your thing, your podcast said SGA is better than Kobe or Jordan. SGA is offensively, because that's the other thing. Because then he tried to leave it down to scoring. When I tried to pick assists, a year where Jordan had 8 assists. Now I can't take the assists into account. So you see what I'm saying? He's using that Tommy Sotomayor thing where he's trying to get you in a box. You can't get out of the box for that argument, but he can go all over the map for his argument. Come on, it's like, and every time you call him out on it, he mutes you. That's what I got. That's the only reason I get frustrated, because I sit there and listen to him talk for 20 minutes. And I came back on the stream and I said, bro, okay, here's one thing. I said, number one, where are you finding the next generation stats for Jordan? They did not officially keep those. If you're gonna tell me you're going back and look at it, multiple sources, multiple people, that's what he says. Oh, because I have Synergy in my chat GPT, and it allows Synergy to go in and go to these multiple various sites. And so what you're telling me is, and he read all of it down, right? And he basically, and that's for me being smart, being the savvy person I am, the observant person I am. I said, Lamont, so basically you're telling me you're using anecdotal evidence to get these numbers about Jordan, these next generation stats. Because look, when it comes down to it, they keep so many stats on things now. They really do. They keep there's so much statistician and all that. Salute, Philip Fry. There's so much next gen stat. Like, they keep your defensive movement speed. They keep so many things now, but they didn't keep it back in the day. And the only thing they can do to do it is go back and watch the film. Now, here's one thing I should have caught too. If they can do all of this, tell me why they can't keep stats on Jordan's like all the players' shooting distance. Because remember, they only started keeping shooting distance in '96, right? And now we can tell where a guy shoots from, what he shoots in the mid-range. You don't have that for Jordan. So if you got next-gen stats for Jordan, how the hell do we don't have the basic shooting distance and all the other plus minus? They should be able to get that too, right? We don't even have the play-by-plays.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? Now you can watch any play. You can go back and pick any play on NBA.com and get the footage of that play. So you see why when you look at the play-by-play, right? In a box score, you can look at the play-by. So you can click on that play and get the footage of it and see what happened on that particular play. You understand what I'm saying? I get this. I would never sit. I mean, until we start doing video and stuff, maybe you can start doing that. Because shout out to 93 Zay doing the turnover compilation for LeBron. He was able to do that and bar it up to the beat. So every time the beat would hit the tick, LeBron would have another turnover, bro. Genius. But this is what I'm saying. So Lamont, FYF, bro, you a good content creator. I'm not. You built your platform and all that, but bro, you are not as smarter than everybody. You might be smart to the sycophants that agree with everything you say in your chat, but a lot of people in your chat were calling out your bullshit. A lot of people call out the fact that you literally named the title of your podcast, SGA is better offensively, but yet I can't bring up Jordan's assists in a season where he had more assists than SGA, despite playing the 2 versus the point guard, that mind you. You can't make it up, bro. You understand what I'm saying? I just,
Can't win over there. Can't
yeah,
win.
it's crazy. It's crazy. So I know Johnny kind of disagreed with him on some things, but then Johnny was going to sit there and play the. This is my boss. I can't really disagree with him on something he's so passionate about. It was like, bro, it's like, then I try to use PER. Well, PER comes for defense. Well, number one, what's the name? SGA does have defensive stats, but I literally said, okay, Johnny. I mean, okay, Lamont. Okay, Lamont. I said, I do know that PR incorporates defense as part of the formula, but those 4 seasons, it is mostly an offensive stat, right? Now he can go. What's the formula? I never looked up the Hollinger formula. That's PER, right? PER is the Hollinger formula, and I get that Jordan having more steals, but when he started to read what PER was on ChatGPT, he literally said, and this is where I'm going to come back with a counter argument that he would never let me land. PER is a stat that favors the big man. And Jordan, but since PER was a stat that favors big men over, it doesn't even account for playmaking, which means it probably takes assists and all of that out of the realm, and it really goes on scoring and box score efficiency, right? It favors the big man. Yet Jordan in that era still dominated the stat. You understand what I'm saying?
And that's saying a lot.
Thank you.
That's saying a lot.
Thank you. So right there, it puts it back. It puts a check back in. He dominated a big man era because guess what? Big men would have more stocks, more steals plus blocks. I know for a fact Akeem Olajuwon probably had more stocks, steals plus blocks than Jordan. So okay, all right, maybe Akeem Olajuwon wasn't 100%, wasn't at his peak offensively. Jordan still had the higher PR. There were other players, there were other centers that did. Ewing. Again, we got to go back and look at '89. Who was Robinson coming into the next year? Doherty was already there, but anyway, it was because it's gonna benefit the guys who rebound more, right? It's gonna benefit the guys who. So it's a big man centered. Yet again, there were better big men back when Jordan played in '89 and any other season you take, and yet he dominated it. So right there it goes to show you, again, relative to error, they tried to throw out, when I use relative to error, he actually called it a stupid number. And Brandon Cass, I really want Brandon Cass to come through here, man. He's always arguing with them, but I could give him a chance to land his plane, and we can go on and do together. Again, I don't got no personal. I always go up to have a good basketball conversation. No matter where I go, I try to have a good basketball conversation. But it showed when I said, okay, when you use true shooting percentage, I said Jordan's true shooting percentage, while 2% lower than than SGA's, he had a 7%. Actually, he had an 80% difference, or 72, something like that, between his true shooting percentage and the league average. While SGA is like 60% better than the league average. So now true shooting percentage as adjusted to now what they're going to say is, because the league didn't shoot as well. Well, Johnny brought that up. But okay, Johnny, you do realize because the league today is more 3-point centric heavy, that the true shooting percentages, we all understand that shooting more threes will lead to a better true shooting percentage, of effective field goal percentage, and true shooting percentage. Both for that. So it's like, well, what should we do? Well, no, we're gonna give Jordan the credit for being much better than the league average as per what the way the game was played. It works both ways. Same way with the using PER work both way, because SGA has every opportunity to get steals and blocks as well. But again, you're trying to segment it off. You're trying to put me in one little box. You don't want to use playoffs. Not at the beginning of the conversation, you said nothing about playoffs. First of all, why would you cut the playoffs off when we all know that those are the more important games anyway, right?
Well, he already know. He know that ain't gonna work in his favor.
That's what I'm saying. He uses the Tommy Sotomayor, Kevin Samuels debate tactic. But see, the difference between Kevin Samuels and those guys, they would actually let people get their argument off and then kill it. So he would let the ladies really go in, because here's the thing. We all know that Kevin Samuels blew up because the ladies would always fight him on everything he was saying. And they would always try to come with their whole, their whole thing. And that's why it was more entertaining than when the men called up, because the men, we didn't really fight it. Like, it barely had many viral moments from men. So again, it's like, bro, you want to put people in a box, but you are a poor debater, especially when you've met your match, and he knows he meets my match. Because you could go on the stream. I was getting him to rattle from the comments because he knew I was calling out his bullshit, bro.
You know
He
who
said,
they don't put.
Tommy Soto was a bozo. Yeah,
The
man.
whole problem
You
is,
know who they
man, the
never
whole
use
problem
though.
is that anytime you build your argument, your platform, or your show on the notion or trying to convince people that a player with 6 championship losses, well, let's just say a losing percentage in the finals, because it's not a winning percentage, it's a losing percentage.
Yeah.
It's better than someone not just with a winning percentage in the finals, but unblemished in championship play on any level of his career where he played for the championship. That's fundamentally, it's so fundamentally flawed to where now you have to take that, you have to chip away at everything, but it's all based on fallacy. Now it's just a matter of is reality versus virtual reality. They're literally trying to create virtual reality out of actual reality.
Hold on real quick. Let me just try to give a quick shout out to this lovely young lady, Tori B. She's from All Ball TV, man. She coming over to support the channel. Really appreciate you showing. Yeah, we just up here talking hoops, reacting to the finals. We feeling better about losing to the Pacers now, Tori, because the Pacers showing they for real. And Carlisle is working magic, bro. And we're gonna get to that. But go ahead, JB.
No, it's just I just never thought that. And see, I'm a Kobe fan to the core. Here go a little backdrop for me. This is how like you can't try to push someone past somebody. What I mean by that is, okay, when Kobe and Shaq three-peated, my mindset was, okay, I wasn't even really thinking about trying to say who's the GOAT. It was more like, okay, I think Kobe, I believe Kobe's the best player in the game. So I was focused on it now. Not until he won that 4th championship, I said, okay, I got Kobe in my top 10 now, And then from there, he won the 5th championship. I said, okay, he got 5, so he ranked there in he definitely top 7, And then I went from there, and then every then it was more about the individual, him continuing to play at the level that to help lead to championships, and then when they blocked their trade for Chris Paul, I said, oh, okay, so they don't want to win it no more. So that's damn near like a title right there in essence. So I never try to push, even though he's been my favorite player since Lower Marion. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, he's the greatest player of all time. I don't roll like that. And that's my guy. I respect the game too much. And what Jordan did, man, is really unparalleled in the grand scheme of things. And like I said, what the league really need to stop doing, let's leave the past alone. Because the only reason they refer to it is to try to prove that today is that much better than yesterday. Let's focus on the now. That they mad that these 2 small market teams are in the finals, or 2 real build teams in the finals. They having a conniption over that. They want their guy up in there, man. But what we don't understand is his style of play is really that's his main conflict, and that's what produces these L's, but is masqueraded in this the production accumulation that make it seem like he's on level with that guy in Chicago or the Kobe's, but he's really not, because if he was, he would have a winning percentage in the final. I would say it about anybody. If Kobe was 3-6 in the final, I could sit here, man, and try to argue that he's better than another guy. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, including 2 sweeps, including the 2 least competitive finals. The 2, this is a great, right here is a great final, right? Think about it. We played 7. This is the 79th played final in NBA history. 79. The league has been there for 79 years. LeBron has played at the losing end of the 2 least, and that's not even counting the other sweep, the first sweep in 07 that he all gets to pass for. Again, I really try not to bash LeBron James. But when you got a whole agenda meant on knocking down an entire era to open the door for him, which mind you, you're not even dominating your own era. Let's keep it a stack. You getting the third highest, actually, well, Luka's second, right, in playoff scoring average of all time.
Only behind Jordan.
Only behind Jordan. You get the second guy from Jordan, right? Again, Luka got a couple of these crazy all-time seasons too. Again, Luka is a guy that's really, really hard to adjust for because he consistently puts up these numbers. Again, when you get to make the SGA thing, I just like give me 2 or 3 years, and then you can say it. I get you saying this single season, and again, it's a single season. But one argument I'm gonna have is like the league hasn't adjusted to him. He's just now become the guy. He's been a high riser. He's been rising up to this point, but he ain't been at this level for that long. Kobe, when we look at, so you gotta take into account too. Everybody was throwing a kitchen sink to stop Kobe. Everybody was throwing a kitchen sink to stop MJ. So even like, you also, to me, you had better defense. You had less teams in the league, therefore the better teams are going to see Kobe more time. Kobe's going to get more games against the Spurs than these guys are going to get against certain other teams, especially considering the injuries, the load management and all that. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a lot to it, bro. Again, I'm going to give Carlisle a shout out, because he is really coaching his ass off. He is playing. He's using all his chess pieces, bro. If basketball is a game of chess, for those that know how to play chess, you got to put your pieces in the movement. You got to use your pieces at the right time. He's doing it. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
man, I think we really turned this around tonight. To me, well, first of all, Indiana's depth is off the charts. That's the first thing.
Yep.
But Obi Toppin, to me, is Halliburton played a great game, but I think Obi Toppin really put them over the top tonight in that fourth quarter. Because what he did out there, they put back two-hand jam to put him up by 7. Where
Benedict Mathurin came on, just could not be stopped.
27 points, something like that.
Yeah.
So the bench really, I think, is going to be the determining factor. I think whichever team's bench play the best from here on out is going to win the title. That's just me.
I'll say this, man. I'm a basketball fan, and I say this again. One thing that I've had tonight is everybody, like, what you think. A lot of people are going to go back to what they think. You're going to have to think outside the box now, because this is a game. This is a league where you can't rely on what you did last year. Remember, I told you. I said I made this prediction at the beginning of the decade. I said, we're not gonna, especially when the Lakers didn't repeat in 21 and they got smoked in the first round. I said, bro, we're not gonna have a repeat champion this decade. We're not gonna have a back-to-back champion this decade, because I saw the things coming with the CBA. I saw the things coming with basically like the Lakers could not keep that team together. Remember, they lost Alex Caruso right after the championship. Look at what Alex Caruso's doing right now.
You definitely see his ability as a player, and I'm happy to see him balling the way he is.
Yeah, I mean, you get, bro, as you see, the young soldiers, Thomas Bryant coming in, making an impact. Again, he's using Thomas Bryant when he needs to. I was hearing Johnny giving Thomas Bryant credit for that turnover before he got taken out. But Thomas Bryant said a good pick. It was a bad pass made, but whatever. End of the day, Thomas Bryant is being used when he needs to. Ben Shepherd is being used when he needs to. Again, Mathurin, everybody on the bench, and that's one that for the Knicks fans that are here, that's my issue with Thibodeau. He was not using the bench. There were players that could be used. Again, think about this. Everybody don't need to come in and be a great scorer. Just come in and fill a role, because at the end of the day, everybody can't get the ball. Be a scoring threat. Play your defense when you need to. That's it. Again, you got to have full rosters. I've been saying that you got to have all 15 players on your roster have to have a reason. You can't have. I think this is why they're making plans for Bronny James with the Lakers, right? You can't have a guy taking up a roster spot who you can't play. What's the point? Because there's guys in the G League ready to come in and fill that role.
Yeah,
You know, and if you don't let him go, somebody else is gonna get him. Quincy Olivari. I hope Quincy Olivari get a spot somewhere. He deserves it.
yeah.
You know, and that's the thing, man. It's like your draft picks. You can't just start. Oh, well, I ain't getting nobody that can play. No. You know, again, same thing. Knicks have 4 rookies. None of them in the rotation. That's why Tibbs got fired. You cannot rely on what you've been thinking in the past. That's what everybody's starting to understand this now. These big threes, everybody shooting for a big three. You know, look, they was talking on all ball TV about getting Kevin Durant, getting this. And I understand going after to Giannis because he's that guy. Like he's still young enough, and he's that guy. Kevin Durant,
I would rather. I mean, if the choice between the two, just hypothetically, yeah, Giannis is in his prime.
he's in his prime. Yeah. And the way I'm looking at it, if we use Carnegie Town to trade him, obviously we're gonna have to trade more than Carnegie Towns, but we can't like give it like it was a situation where we traded Randall. We had to trade Randall and DiFrancesco because that money added up to what Cat was making approximately. And then we had to actually sign our end of the bench guys to $1 million contracts so it could add up to the money that was enough to make the salary difference go to work. That's what you always got to look at when you make these trades. So now, again, if we can't give up that much more for Carl-Anthony, I mean for Giannis with the car because they make almost the same money, same within $1 million of each other for the rest of their contract. That's important, right? Then both are going to make, for example, both of them are going to make in the $53 million range next year. So it's almost a dollar for dollar trade. But obviously, you would still have, Milwaukee wouldn't be feeling they'd be getting equal value. So you got to throw more value on that. But then you could also get a throw in from Milwaukee to make it even on the money front. But again, in general, the idea that you guys are shooting for super teams. Everybody they can only think in super teams, and you cannot build teams that way no more. You need a star, a co-star, and a bunch of role players. And the role players might be expensive a little bit themselves, but they can't be so expensive. And then you know what? Once you've done that, then you have to balance guys out on their rookie deals, second round picks who make 1 point something million, because that's the only way you can fill the 15-man roster. Yep. That's not way in over the second apron when you can't make any moves if that team doesn't work out. And so, by the same token, you also have to have a coach that KYP, I always say this on a court and anywhere else, know your personnel. KYP, know your personnel. Because you got to know that this guy, I can rely on this guy for a quarter or so when I need defense only from that position. I can rely on that guy when I need extra playmaking. I can rely on that guy because if I got I want to keep Halliburton for instance fresh. I'm not over relying on Halliburton where he can remember he has a hamstring injury, right? That's lingering. You don't want to, you want to make so by the time we get to this part of the playoffs. Ain't no injury excuses because I kept my guys fresh enough. I kept my guys in good, ready enough. So everybody that thinks, well, this team is. I said no team is unbeatable. Everybody is mid now. Even OKC with the 68 wins, they're mid as well. You feel me? They're mid because it's not that they're not a great team. They've accomplished a lot winning these games. But they can be beaten by a team that we thought was mid. And really, you know what? Just like in football, bro. Any football fans, it's not about who's the best team anymore. You know what I'm saying? Back in the 90s, it was like one team was so dominant offensively and defensively because you could keep teams together for longer, right? You would kind of have dynastic teams like the Cowboys really were the last dynasty. But you can keep like the Bills were together for you. Once free agency hit and stuff like that, you got to now choose between your quarterback and your whole linebacker core, right? Once you got to pay your quarterback, you got to let a couple of them linebackers go. So now your linebacker, you got to draft new linebackers, and that's why it's so hard to repeat in football. It's not even about who's the best team; it's about who's playing the best come playoff time. It's about who's playing the best come playoff time, period. And if you're built to do that, if you have the pieces, then you can get back to the finals and get back up there. You know what I'm saying?
Huh?
But that's why it is. It's who's playing the best. It's not about who's playing. It's not, again, I'm not just. I sat there and joked when the Knicks were 0-11 against the top 3 teams in the league. I said it's only the regular season. It's only the regular season. It don't matter. It's the regular season. It don't matter. It's the regular season. It don't matter, right? So we were 2-1 against the Pacers, and we were. So guess what team took us out? The team we were 2-0 against, not the teams that we were 0-10 against, right? And the Pacers took that. The Pacers are now up on one of those teams. They took out the other team in 5 games, right? Did they beat the Cavs in 5? Oh my God! You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's who got the momentum. I said this at the beginning. So FYF, Mr. Lamont, when you say, "Oh, I didn't predict these series," bro, I don't put you on it. You, Mr. Busy, you Mr. You don't know who I am, because every time I pull up in your thing and you giving me shout out to him for giving me a mod wrench over in this chat, but you know who I am. You know I am. It's like I love the reference to Wire, man. When Marlo came and he tried to get Bodie. He's like, you know my, what's your name? Biddy, Body. He's like, you know my name. Like, come on, stop with all that. You got the big channel, but you are not, you ain't like that, bro. You ain't been in these streets. You ain't been, again, I'm telling you, you might have been in these YouTube streets, but you ain't been in these basketball streets, bro. I know more basketball than you, and I can prove it anytime you want to pull up. Because again, the problem is nobody wants to pull up to your channel to debate, because all you do is mute people. All you do is mute people while you listen to yourself talk for 30 minutes. Again, I ain't gotta listen to you dribble on about why I can't use PER when I literally said, when I came up, I said I do understand that PER incorporates defensive stats, but I'm gonna use PER because Jordan had 4 seasons where his PER was higher than SGA's this year. Oh, but and mind you, some of those seasons, he wasn't dominating steals and blocks. His steals and blocks in 90, 91 was not as high as they were in 88, 89. So now, okay, he has less steals and blocks, probably comparable to SGA's, and yet his PER was higher. Therefore, okay, but bro, this is that's all they do. That's what he does to mute people. And it's like, bro, I'm not trying to be respectful of your black, but sometimes, like, bro, if we're gonna have a debate, we're gonna have a discussion. Give me the props for saying, okay, Ro, you did say I know the defense is taken into account. So you're asking me to use a number that I can support my argument, but I can't use PER. Meanwhile, you can use next gen stats that you know weren't officially kept or officially tabulated, and then when you explain where they came from, you're literally telling me it's like anecdotal evidence. You know what anecdotal evidence is? SGA. If you're gonna use SGA's percent, all that stupid shit, bro. Again, this is why I want to tell them. This is why people who use analytics get their ass beat in the playoffs. This is why you get their ass beat in the playoffs, because when you use too much analytics and when you use too many points based off the numbers, you don't account for things. This is why SGA came out, and I hate to do it, but SGA came out looking average. Benedict Mathurin outshined him in a pivotal game.
That's fact.
I don't think Benedict Mathurin would ever outshine Kobe or MJ. Chad, do y'all feel it in Benedict Mathurin? Timothy Miller, shout out to Timothy Miller, the Seas fan. Again, it's like, yeah. So everything that y'all all knew, Timothy Miller, the Seas fan, y'all all knew that the Knicks was getting cooked. Y'all all knew it. And then I sat there and said, okay, here's how the Knicks could beat the Celtics. I said it all year. Taking too many threes is nasty work. Taking threes when you need twos is not how you get it done. This is the thing, right? All that mid-range inefficiency. Well, guess what? Nobody did it better than Kobe and Jordan, especially in crunch time. Nobody. I don't care what y'all give me about LeBron's clutch stats, because he gets layups to support his clutch stats. LeBron James is not hitting middies hitting mid fall away, fadeaways, whatever. When defenses break down, he's not hitting 18 footers. He's not doing it. He's not doing it. And that's the deal, man. So, like, you know, I mean, like I said, I'm trying not to talk, but you know, I've been wound up since that, and I sat down and I watched a great game. You know, again, I'm rooting for OKC. I picked OKC. I would like to see OKC. They're a smaller market than Indiana, even. Honestly, I don't want the Pacers to win a championship for the Knicks. But again, at the end of the day, I think it's a no-lose for me. It's either Obi Toppin or for you, it's either Thomas Bryant or Caruso, one of the young soldiers that should have never left the Lakers, that LeBron should have never traded away. Because when you're sitting there with Jackson Hayes getting killed by Rudy, not even on the court, and meanwhile you got Rui Hachimura and center getting killed by Rudy Gobert, guess what? All of these guys should be in your uniform, helping LeBron or helping a real star that wanted to embrace Laker purple and gold and wanted to carry on a win position, not just glorify himself. You know what I mean, bro? It's time to cook because again, I never because I know one thing: if I ever go up there talking about LeBron, they're gonna go in. So I just try to have basketball conversations. I don't make nothing about LeBron, right? I'm making it clear that I'm just, you know, I'm standing my ground. That SGA is not as good as Jordan. Between the eyes, I don't care what your numbers say, your regular season only numbers, because now we even know that, even LeBron himself admitted that playoff officiating is this more physical game in the playoffs. It was equal. Not probably more intense in the playoffs than it was back in the regular season, but it was both. Like, again, as I've said, one of the things that they use to stop Jordan, one of their things is physical play. Meaning, so what does that mean? It's that meaning that Jordan would attack the basket, and one of the ways to mitigate that was to give him hard foul. You know, in 1989, the flagrant foul was not invented yet. Now you saw what they almost called flagrant foul on Neesmith fouling what's the name on the breakaway. Yeah. So you saw they had to look. They didn't have a flagrant foul. But now that, because again, it was just a wrap up. It wasn't like it wasn't no follow through. Now, if he had thrown him to the ground, he basically stopped him from getting the layup. And they did. And again, even though he fell like that, because there was no wind up or follow through, not a flagrant foul. Back then, you could do that more. You could literally clothesline somebody like the Legion of Doom. You know what I'm saying? Like the Road Warriors. Just keeping it stacked, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, bro, again, it's like, I mean, like he killed me when he gave me this. Said, okay, bro, I'm gonna give, and I'm thinking, okay, all right. You tried your little bullshit tactic.
Yeah,
Give me 30 seconds to make my one last argument to tell you where I was going, and then no, he mutes me after 3.
Yeah, he didn't let you or Brandon talk, which was crazy.
Because he knows. This is why I want Brandon over here, bro. Because he knows we cook him. We fight. The most of his audience, and no disrespect to some of the brothers, but they're not sharp enough to catch the contradictions in a lie. I'm like, bro, now we understand Chat GPT, right? That this whole, bro, let's keep this. Anybody that's watching. Chat GPT and the AI, like you seen what they did to my man Carlton Towns, right? On Twitter, they tried that fake ass tweet. The guy don't even look. Carlton Towns is 7 feet tall, 260 something pounds, right? 250, 240 maybe at the least. If he's been dieting and working out, doing yoga with Jordan Woods or whatever, he's probably at 250. The guy sitting in that damn chair. It was like a regular sized guy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And they took this guy who had a tramp stamp, probably, you know, again, it's Pride Month, it is what it is, right? He probably of that ilk. And they put it, and then again, this is what AI can do. So this
AI is frightening, boy.
Yeah, so this using Chat GPT as me and CW saw. It's an algorithm that goes on what you already talked about. Like, so it'll probably even attach itself to your phone and all the basketball conversations you had
Oh, yeah.
and whatnot. It'll start to so everybody's chat GPT is going to give different results
Exactly.
based on
And
what they've
real quick, I put in because I was listening to it because I was driving, and I put in all the stuff Lamont was talking about in for SGA against Michael Jordan and Kobe. And every time I put it in two different AI models, both of them said SGA's never had a season
Thank
better
you.
than Michael Jordan.
Thank you.
At his
So
best.
again, this goes to show you, and I said that I tried to get this off. As Lamont, we already know you browbeat. And I kept it comic in front because I remember I said SCA, Mahari, all his little sycophants. Oh, they say, oh, you said Frank Bukowski had a great up and under. I said he had a nice up and under. I didn't say he had a. I didn't say he was. Kevin McHale had a legendary up and under game. All right. I never said Frank, but they're gonna keep bringing that up. Yeah, it don't. When you said I'll take Rudy Gobert over Akeem Olajuwon to guard Shaq, bro, y'all don't laugh at that though. But it's a little sycophant. But we all sat up there, right? Lamar had a team where and it was PJ Tucker. Prime PJ Tucker was his center. No matter what, all our teams. My team got to lost 2-4. But see, the reason why Lamar understood this is that the way he would put chat teams in chat GPT. So he probably already had the so again, I got Akeem Olajuwon on my center. You got PJ Tucker, and my team ain't gonna take your team 4 games. My team ain't gonna take you to a game 7. That's what I like, bro. I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna fall for the chat with you and your chat GPT. I don't care that you use synergy. That's what there's the next. Oh, you got you know you don't pay for. Are you a coach? Do you use synergy for? Bro, man, come on, man. Come on, bro. You use synergy. I use synergy, so I get more up to date data. It does not. You do not have those next generation stats for Jordan, and you probably don't have them for Kobe a lot because you don't have them for They didn't start. Come on, I'm just guessing here. They didn't start keeping next gen stats probably until the 2010s, maybe late 2000, maybe mid to late 2000s at best, at earliest. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask a question. I could be wrong. Didn't they start that with college basketball, next gen stat? Or am I?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, analytics came in. It was all over the place. You understand what I'm saying? And analytics is like the new way of all these sports teams around. But I always say this, man. You get too. Why the Yankees who use pure analytics? They have not won a championship since 2009. They go to the playoffs every year. They miss the playoffs 1 or 2 years. The analytics. It's a point where the analytics now. You got to cut the analytics off because you're now facing. When you get to the point where you're facing the cream of the crop, you can't script the game. There's no way to script a game based on numbers and data. Now it's gonna come. Who got the best mind? Right now, Carlisle is winning this. He's winning this battle against Dagenham. You see what I'm saying? This is why coaching still matters, man. This is why coaching still matters. See, we got a bot up in here. Hold on. Yeah, we ain't to the point where we promoted the bots, and I don't even know what I can do with it right here. Let me see. Because it only says show us. Hold on.
Yeah, I don't know
but hey, we grow. We growing. We got bots in the chat.
Yeah, they show up every now and then.
Yeah, it is what it is, bro.
Over here,
But man. Look, I'm trying not to dominate the cop, but this is all of the stuff that I wanted to get off on this cat. And again, I didn't need a bunch of time. I needed 30 seconds. Because the other night he only gave me 30 seconds, right? I tried to bring up the Kobe. You're gonna tell me that Kobe had, because this is what Lamar said. Kobe had no resume with Shaq. Like his resume playing with Shaq didn't count because he didn't win MVP. I'm like, okay, he didn't win MVP, but he was 3-time All-NBA first team defense with Shaq. You gonna tell me that's nothing? You gonna tell me that's nothing, Lamar, or anybody? Is that nothing to be? He was 2-time All-NBA first team offense, 3-time All-NBA. He was second team 1 time, which this is playing with Shaq. So he said he has no resume with Shaq. It doesn't count. And he's on the championship team. When Shaq left the Lakers, Kobe was what, 25 years old, right, Jermaine?
Yep. Right. Yep. 25.
So he did all of that. He did all of that, which a lot of Hall of Fame players don't do in their whole career. He did it by 25. I'm just saying. Well, what happened is then when I said, then he's like, go, well, can you segment the because again, he's trying to use it when Kobe was, I said, Lamont, you realize Kobe played his first game at 18 years old in 2 months. That's younger than LeBron was in his first NBA game. And Lamont wasn't, and LeBron wasn't an all-star his first year either. Kobe was an all-star in his second year at 19. The only teenager to be an all-star. I think he's the only teenager.
At that point, the whole time, he wouldn't even acknowledge that point.
See what I'm saying? This is what disingenuous motherfuckers will do. Because it's like, bro, okay, yeah, I'll give you that. Be honest, because now you make yourself look stupid when you're ignoring the data that's on your own fucking screen, bro. That I'm pointing out. Kobe played in the All-Star game at 19 years old and 4 months. And not only that, he was a featured player against Michael Jeffrey Jordan and at the time we thought would be his last All-Star game. He played in 2 more, of course. You understand what I'm saying? He was legitimately selected to the All-Star game. He wasn't even voted the second time. It wasn't a fan vote, but yet I forget which player let him start, knowing that would be his last game. You understand what I'm saying?
Vince Carter let him start.
Vince Carter, yeah, obviously Carolina connection. To Vince Carter would have many more All-Stars of his own. You understand what I'm saying? But it's like you're gonna sit there. I'm feeling fried. Yeah, that's probably not even his real name. And, you know, a lot of people ain't gonna put their real name out there. And props to that, whatever. But like to sit there, he said big tummy. To sit there and do that, like be disingenuous. You lying on stuff. Again, I already knew when ChatGPT literally told when we were having a discussion, who started the load management, and he said, who started? Trust the process. Yes, that was Philadelphia started load management. They literally drafted players that they wouldn't play their rookie year. With injuries that they could have come back and at least play a couple of games in. Philadelphia started load management. Kawhi played more games this year than Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid didn't play a game until his 3rd season, and even in his 3rd season, he only played 30 games. You gonna tell me that man didn't start load management? But when it said that, he ignored it. He ignored it. Like I said, you because he got, where did load management start? And he really wanted, because he wanted to get one guy who was a Kawhi fan. He had to make it say it was started. Look, let's keep it real. LeBron and them did load management too. They just didn't call it that. What they would do is try to come up with some bullshit little injury and give them rest during the season, as they kept saying. Regular seasons don't matter. So this game we consider. And what they would do, because this was crazy, they would sit out against the Spurs. Like I remember in 2013, LeBron's last NBA MVP season, he sat out one in the game regular season against the Spurs. If I'm correct, I don't think he played against the Spurs in that regular season. So they would, again,
yeah. I'm a Spurs fan, so
yeah. He would sit out these marquee games on national television. So let's be real. This is before Embiid was drafted. Okay? I remember this. See, that's the thing. They think, bro, I'm just a 90s nostalgic. That's to them. I'm a 90s, 80s. No. First I'm a basketball historian. Again, I watched what I watched in the 90s. The 90s is the first full decade I watched. And obviously that's going to always be special to me. 2000s. I'm a very big critic of the 2000s because I felt that players look, the first players that came out of high school was obviously Kevin Garnett, and then Kobe and Jermaine O'Neal. Then it was Tracy McGrady, and I forget who else in '97 came out. It was a couple of guys that came out in '97. Then it was, then it started getting absurd, bro. Then it was like almost the damn entire McDonald's All-American game started coming out of high school. And that's why the 2000s, a lot of teams did not have good players, and it was hard to really draft, like trying to draft high school guys. You never really knew who was going to be a can't miss. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's what kind of happened, and that's why in 2006, they went to the one and done rule, so that Kevin Durant class and the Kevin Durant and Greg Oden class, they had to go to 1 year to school, or they said, well, you could go play overseas, but you can't. You can forego the NCAA and play overseas, and that's when they actually started making the G League more of a thing. To where, okay, well, maybe you can just train with the G League, go to a G League team, but you cannot be drafted by an NBA NBA team until you're 19, or your graduating class has a 19th birthday, whatever. You have your 19th birthday by a certain thing with your graduating class, whatever it is. Again, football has a rule where you gotta be 3 years out of high school before you can get drafted. Which I really think one of the solutions to running back problems is they should let running backs come in after 2, since running backs have such a short shelf life, because it really is unfair to make running backs go 3 years of college, then play 5 years under a rookie deal, and then pretty much only have one major contract before, they're 31. They're looking to basically, running backs are done now. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
yeah. So you're making players play half their career. If you're a running back, you play half your career under a rookie contract. In 3 years, you got to risk it at college. You got to, ACL tears and all that. But that's another story, man. Yeah, it's just wild, bro. It really is. So I'm just glad. It's like things will play out because everybody goes by what they know. Like, bro, think outside the box. Think outside the box. You just got to be one of about 8 or 10 teams. Everybody thinking it's 3 teams above everybody else. Those days are over, bro, man. The era of the super team is over. It's done. I know you concur, JB. The era of the it doesn't make fiscal sense to build a team with a super team. A $63 million player with a $45 million player and another $55 million player. You already used up your cap.
That's right.
You already used up your cap. So now you can't afford decent role players. You gotta get veteran minimums. And if you don't have these guys under good contracts already, and then you don't have young talent that you can, bring into your rotation, that's how it goes.
And I believe that the new CBA was drawn up directly in response to the super team era.
Oh yeah, more than that, the player empowerment era. Guys like Kevin Durant saying we're not gonna play for the Nets unless you hire Steve Nash as a coach because he ain't going to put us in check.
Also, I hate to say this because I'm a Laker fan, and I'm not trying to bring them up tonight because I want to give props to the 2 teams in the finals. But I do believe they started to draw up the new CBA and started negotiating a new CBA after the way that AD trade went down, and after how we saw a franchise systematically deplete their entire talent pool.
Yeah,
I believe once the league saw that, because that's something that has not been done in any professional sports league, unless, like, let's say a team have a run and they age out, and then they start all over. They gutted the thing out damn near 5 years prematurely.
Yeah.
And they read back to square one. So I think this new CBA was put in there to encourage and actually require real player development and to save teams for themselves. And I believe it's a great thing, and we're seeing the benefit of that in these finals as we speak. So I have no qualms, no issues, no complaints. They need to clean up all the other stuff. Stop worrying about changing the All-Star game format. Look, get to the nuts and bolts, enforce the rules, clean this madness out so everybody who's building the right way we can see who's who by years in. I can live with the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
I can live with it.
Yep.
As a fan.
For sure. And that's the thing, man. Again, fiscal responsibility, player development. Those are keys. They're unfortunately your team. And I'm gonna go with Timothy Miller, who's a Celtics fan. Right, your team did it the right way, right? Develop a bunch of guys that nobody wanted. I mean, hell, nobody wanted Kristaps Porzingis. You got him for basically nothing. But now, okay, you made a run. You had a championship window. Now you have a catastrophic injury. But now you got to make real time decisions on who you keep and go because, yeah, man, it's hard to afford. It's like you're talking about a $500 million payroll because you get so heavily taxed once you go over that second apron. And not only that, you cannot do moves. You can't make trades. It gotta be it gotta be within $1 million. So you can't, usually you get about a 10% to 15%. When you make a trade, like you can go up on the cap 10 or 15% up within the parameter of a deal. You understand what I'm saying? Now, nope. You got to make a strict dollar for dollar trade once you go over the second apron. And so, yeah, the money is coming in. Again, the money will come in, the cap will expand. You was talking about the All-Star format, right? Look, one thing, Silver them will always, because he got sponsors that came in, they wanted to fund the All-Star. Again, that's money for the players. A lot of the time, these guys don't understand. They make so much goddamn money. Shout out to Johnny. Because Johnny was coming out, he did share a story. I think he said Olden Polynice shared a story about how Dale Ellis and Xavier McDaniel had that fight over gambling, right? And he's like the rule was when you're on a road trip, y'all gamble. When you get home, you can get to your home bank, you settle up. Well, once Dale Ellis they got home. Yeah, Ellis like, yo, I ain't got your money. What you gonna do? He said the X-Men fucked him up in practice, and he went to his car and got a 2x4 instead of third. And so, of course, Johnny his thing making fun of the 80s and the 90s. He made that, well, damn, these professional players. What I reminded him is, bro, back in those days, these guys didn't make $1 million a year. They were thousandaires. Like they probably made. I think those two probably made. I would even have to go to see what X-Men and Dale Ellis made in their salaries, like when they were on a team together, late '90s. But like Dale Ellis went to his car, got a 2x4, and then he said X-Men caught him trying to, he ran to his car, and X-Men he didn't make Dale Ellis look good at all. But he ran to his car, and they don't have back then the cars. None of the cars had remote locks, right? So you had to put the key in the door. He said he was trying to get the key in the door. The X-Men caught him and fucked him up. But again, what you're not understanding is these guys didn't make millions back then. They made in 100,000s. You understand what I'm saying? I would venture to guess that Dale Ellis made 200. So if they gambled a good $5,000, $6,000, Dale Ellis was gonna feel that. Nowadays, they can gamble fucking 20 racks a goddamn hand. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's the difference, man. It looks like he was like a scary movie. Some of the things is funny. I was watching the Tyler Perry joint, in the Tyler Perry movie. It's like, bro, the premise of that movie, who cashes checks anymore? Who cashes paper checks anymore? I don't remember the last time I cashed a paper check in my life.
Hey, if you don't have direct deposit, what are you doing?
I mean, you couldn't get in the cash app. Like, you could. Matter of fact, after you shot old boy Colonel Taylor, Mayor Royce, you couldn't get in his phone, like his phone and cash app yourself. Like, so some of the things, like some of the premise of going to a bank to cash your check with a gun, and they don't want to cash your check. I mean, matter of fact, you don't even go in banks no more to cash a check. You could do it at the ATM. You could do it from your phone now.
On the phone, yeah. You could just take a picture of a check and get your money deposited immediately. That's crazy.
Bro, we talk all good. When I was looking at the key fumbling and all that, but you think, I'm like, bro, does Tyler Perry write like we still in the 80s? Like, I mean, like we still in the 90s, and they were like, was she playing a CD in her whip? A little 8-track? I mean, come on, bro. Like,
what movie was this? Because I gotta make sure I don't watch it. So.
Oh, this is not a movie store to Tyler Perry.
Oh, okay,
Everybody was buzzing about it. It got 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, they was quick to point out on Double Toasted. I love looking Double Toasted.
You watched that too? Okay, you watched Double Toasted.
Yeah. But he's like, no, it's 77%, but it's all audience. The critics don't even fuck with Tyler Perry movies.
Yeah, my wife will probably have me watching that. So I'm glad.
Man. Yeah, for real, yeah. Philip Fry, I agree with you. I mean, again, a lot of brothers in the manosphere were saying, it's like they want people to trauma bond. And again, it is what it is. I go in a Tyler Perry movie expecting to laugh, especially at the drama. His dramas be more funny than Medea. Real.
They overact. They dramatic with it.
They're so dramatic. They over the top characters, bro. Like they cookie cutter. You got Tiana Taylor all serious through the movie. I mean, like she's playing a cop, a detective. She's all serious through the movie. I'm like, are you trying to win an act? Are you trying to win an Oscar? And so was Taraji. Now, look, one thing, Taraji, what she sold the show because she can act her ass off. One thing I will never take away from Taraji. She's an actress. For sure.
Is that a made for TV movie there? Straw?
It's on Netflix. So it's made for theater, but now Netflix is really kind of cornering a lot of movies go straight to Netflix. And because they really offer Netflix, I couldn't imagine going to the goddamn theater to see that fast.
Man. So that's one of them Tyler Perry specials, right?
Tyler Perry specials. But it's like, bro, nobody cashes checks in banks no more, bro. Like, I mean, the only people that do it be the old heads. You know what I'm saying? Like, writing my check in a paycheck? No, everybody. If you're working for a grocery chain or a grocery store, they gonna make you use the direct deposit. Like he could have. So you shot the man. Oh, I don't want to give away too much. I mean, so a couple of y'all saw it.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, it was just over the top, man. Of course, like all Tyler Perry, especially in dramas, and you get to the point where they comedies, you're laughing at some of the most ridiculousness stuff of it. But yeah, the whole thing about Dale Ellis. That was funny by Johnny. Dale Ellis trying to get his key in his car to get away from X-Men. You know what I'm saying? We all know that Xavier McDaniel was a goal, and then Oakley got in that fight, and they wound up being teammates and shit later on, and
But who went head to head with him? Who didn't care?
Yeah. I mean, and again, it's just like I was saying,
Jordan went head to head with Xavier.
Look, I enjoy Tyler Perry. Only reason I brought it up because it's like some of the things that happened in the movie, Tori, was dated. Like nobody uses checks no more. Nobody like goes to the bank. Even if you get a check, you gonna put that shit in you could deposit the check with your bank card in the what's the name? And it'll pull out what it pull out. And I get she needed the money to go again. You can't in real talk, I don't know how it is in Georgia. I don't know how it is in Georgia, but you got to go to housing court to throw people out. I don't get it. I don't want to, for those that didn't see the movie, if you want to see it, I don't want to give too many spoilers. But I was just thinking about somehow the references are dated. Like, again, not everybody, you can remote start your car, all that in these days. But old boy was trying to get his keys in here to get pulled out. And the whole point was that these players didn't make money like that. So them gambling, you could see the brother being short because they still, Uncle Sam was still coming for these players' check back in the 80s and 90s. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, you gonna put up some X-Men footage? X-Men was my man, bro.
Hey, I had to.
Yeah. Look. That made me see again. That's when I became a diehard Knicks fan because the Knicks would not lay down for Chicago. They told Chicago, we on your ass. Y'all won the championship last year, but don't act like this is your era.
Yeah,
that's when I became. I was already a Knicks fan, but that's when the Knicks became everything for me, man.
Some good series.
Yeah, man. No doubt. And again, that's the thing that Jordan had to deal with. Those are the physical. Like now, they would sit there and throw both players out now for something like this on the screen. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, because he was going after John. I mean, remember he was going after John Starks. They got into
John Starks, Reggie Miller stuff, all that. I mean, the game was much more physical. So again, you want to sit there and tell me, and then you show a clip. I'm like, bro, what are you showing me? You showing me that the game was physical. Nowadays, you look at a motherfucker, it's a flagrant 3.
Yeah, that. What was that? Yeah, that Caruso.
Never realized that when they say physicality means that they relied on that more than skill. What they got to understand is to play physical like that consistently on defense, you have to be in great shape to do it. You can't just go out there and just, well, I'm gonna beat this guy up and not be in shape. Right? You got to be in condition to do that, play like that, and then still be able to, provide some offense on the other end too.
Mm-hmm. But for sure. For sure. I mean, again, and there's this thing that go on in the game, from between in and out. It's a different world. That's what I'm saying. When you're going to use the numbers, obviously, the numbers are going to shine a little bit more. Again, the fact that they use the 3, the fact that you got a higher volume of 3 is going to bring up the true shooting percentage. So I knew that going in, but again, he lied by saying my stream does not talk about offense altogether. So you're going to tell me rebounding and all? I mean, there are other stats, raw stats that will affect offense more than just scoring. But now you want to tell me just scoring because your ChatGPT, which again, bro, lied to you. It lied to you because you don't have these next gen stats are not reliable for Jordan. You cannot go to 80, mind you, 88. Now, what did I tell you, JB? He said 89. He said, so Phil Jackson. Well, when you use Phil Jackson, for me, Phil Jackson wasn't the coach of the Bulls in 89. It was still Doug Collins.
Them niggas be rumbling.
Yo, I didn't tell you that, CW. He said Phil Jackson was one of the sources of Jordan's some of these next gen scoring percentage and points per play in the pick and roll, isolation, etc. So you got all of these stats and you're using ChatGPT to tell you that 11 of the 12. But wait a minute, Lamont.
Those stats are available.
If you're using Phil Jackson as a source, who wasn't even, because he literally said this. Phil Jackson wasn't a coach of the Bulls in 89, the season that I chose.
He doesn't know that?
Bro, Lamont would be so full. Lamont, you remember that South Park episode where all the people with the Prius cars and the electric vehicles, they were so smug that they did their farts. Like he's one of them. He's very smug. He's full of his own. So he thinks I like Lamont. You very condescending. You come up here and think no one else. I get most of your sycophants who agree with you. They're not very smart. They don't pick up these things. I'm that nigga that's gonna pick up when you lie. Again, and I always come up to have an honest conversation with you, bro. First thing I said is I'm not trying to knock SGA. I said that he's having an all-time season. This is great, a great season. Again, Then when Peter Badgers came up and said Curry had a season that beats even SGA.
Yeah,
I'm like, bro, I knew that because I sat and looked at the numbers. Curry was number 1 or number 2 in every offensive metric category. He was like number 2 in total shooting percentage. The one was DeAndre Jordan, who only dunks the ball, right? So DeAndre Jordan had like a 70-something field goal percentage. So Curry was like right behind him in effective field goal percentage and total shooting percentage because the threes But Curry had damn near the perfect season that year. I could have told you that. And obviously the 3-point shot is one of those things that's going to bring up things like that. But again, you live off of that. And then when you understand, when you come to the playoff, because that's the first argument I tried to do, then he cut off. I can't use anything from the playoffs. Even though he did a whataboutism, saying, oh, well, I got, in mind you, not 89, I got games where Jordan didn't do this in the playoffs. And I got games. He used Kobe in 07. Well, that wasn't the Kobe season I would have used.
Nah, Philip, he's a ChatGPT person now. He's
Uh-huh.
not a Googler. He's not Googling. He's ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah, ChatGPT. Google is passe. Oh, no, Google will take you to multiple sources. ChatGPT will combine all the sources and come up with that's it. This is the thing with AI, man. This is Tori told me she processes a paper check. And again, I know people still do it. The thing is like, okay, if the bank is closed, you can still then try to use the ATM. I was just understanding why she needed to get the cash. Like, you don't have an ATM card, blah blah blah. But again, it is what it is. But yeah, ChatGPT now. It takes all of the data, it takes all of these sources, and it tries to get a consensus answer to your question, whatever you're trying to look up. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing he played. And again, I said you play with your ChatGPT so much, it'll tell you everything you want to hear, Lamont. You can't play that game with me because you make it what happens, and I told it this same thing with Travis when he came up here. Some of your arguments are lies. Some of your arguments are baseless. Some of the things you're trying to say you're off on. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Go ahead.
Patrick, he had a segment. I guess that was earlier this week, and it's talking about LBJ, whether he have a bag or not. I'm like, wow, man, we've been reduced to this. Y'all, as talking heads, man. This was y'all not talking about the finals. Y'all already talk about whether someone got a bag. And I said, wow, man, this ain't 1995 ESPN. It's 2025 version. But he made a comment. He say, well, he brought up, the fight between Jordan and Curry, where everybody knew about that when it happened. They had like this is something that we just found out doing the documentary. We knew that when it happened. That wasn't no biggie and shit. Like Curry said, man, he needed that to show Jordan he can stand up to him. Once he did that shit, they was cool. But he said, well, Jordan had to realize, you got to have a team around you. Like, well, basketball is a 5-player sport. Who don't know that? But this is what he said, though, man. See, now they lying. He said, for Jordan, for the Bulls to put a team around him, Jordan took a pay cut. I said, man, are you kidding me, dog? Is this where we going, dog? It's different between being underpaid and taking a pay cut. I said, wow. When you going, that's why I say, man, the ethics of journalism been thrown out the window.
It's funny. They try to fault Jordan for Pippen being underpaid for those years. But again, Jordan had nothing. Number one, Jordan had nothing to do. But again, two, Jordan, the reason. That's one point that I brought up when talking about the Spurs. I mean, not Spurs, the Supersonics fight. Is that Jordan's the reason why they went from thousandaires to millionaires. Scottie Pippen being one of them. See, again, when Scottie Pippen signed his $1 million deal, that was a lot of money to him. But then the money kept blowing up. Because now Scottie's now under. He went from thinking he made more money than he's ever going to need to now he's underpaid. And again, unfortunately, you sign a 7-year deal. If you sign a 7-year deal with no opt-outs, that's half your career at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was warned about making that deal. At least do an opt out. At least do something like that where you can, opt out. No, he's trying to say, no, we're going to give you 7 years for whatever, 15, 6 or 14 million. At the end of that deal, you make a 2 million. What everybody else, Horace Grant, already your teammate got drafted with you, is making 10-something $million. It's funny. Nobody says that, Scotty just was chasing the money. No, Scotty gets sympathetic. But again, the fact of the matter is, because Jordan expanded the popularity of the game, made himself such a great salesperson that everybody would, now by the 90s, like 10 dudes got signature shoes, right? Ewings had the Ewings, the Barkleys, the Pippins, the Pennies, the Shaqs.
Oh yeah, the glove,
Yeah. Glove, Grant Hill. Everybody had their shoes.
JT,
That's money.
Grant Hill, Eli. But he
didn't Grant Hill have some?
Yeah, Grant Hill had them felines.
Oh, yeah, bro, felines. I was looking for Grant. I was when the feline. I had them in the blue. You remember the blue stripe around them, right?
I had those.
I tried to get them in black. I could not. What, size 13? I could not find them in 13. I could find them in 11.
All high school.
You were Pippins?
I had I think I had the Grant Hills.
Okay. Oh yeah, I had Grant Hills too. And I never liked the ball in white sneakers. So, I would just wear them and I would take them off. But I mean, it's like if I'm playing basketball after school, I don't, I'm either bring the next pair of shoes in my bag, or I'm I'm gonna have them in my locker maybe, because we didn't have lockers like that. We had to move. My school was so big, man. You couldn't even keep a locker anywhere. You know what I mean? Like it was literally so like 8 floors, and you can keep a locker, maybe keep a book in, but they don't really allow you to have lockers like that. So it was like, yeah, like I could wear Grant Hills. I don't want to play them because I'm gonna get scuffed up. I can't scuff up white. So I was looking for the Grant Hills in black, and when they came on black, I could not find them nowhere in 13. If I would have wore 12, it would have been like squeezing my feet. Hey, those were the days, man. But that's again, think about that. Think about the ways that man grew the game, man.
And then he said, Dan Patrick said, yeah, they found Horace Grant to play with him. They found Kukoc. I said, wait a minute, weren't they drafted, dog?
Thank you.
Is this going on?
Hey, so step, bro, you can't even make the way they revise history, man. Again, this is why I'm in this space, because I hate liars. I hate the fact that they lie and mislead you, man. You know what I'm saying, man? Bro, it's the purposely not telling the truth, sell a narrative that you want to sell, and that's nasty work, in my opinion. I think it's nasty. I think it's ridiculous, it's misleading. And again, this man is really that mad that I told him that Scap Attack cooked Gilbert Arenas in a debate, that he now has to come full, like he done made two anti-Kobe. Think about it. The man is not even here to defend himself. His daughter just graduated college, and you out there killing that man because your homeboy got cooked by a YouTuber in a debate.
That's what I call tender flexing. They tender flexing.
Bro, that's exactly what they do, man. That's exactly what they do. And again, they call everybody Jesse Jeffries. They try to throw it out. That it's you guys that can't. I'm like, bro, I can talk about the poor. How many people in your fan base that you say love the game so much? How many of you can tell about tell me about the Portland Trailblazers roster? Tell me about the Kings roster. That's what I do. I love this game. I have problems with the actual gameplay. But one thing I can do is I can describe teams. I can describe players. You guys with oh my God, Neesmith, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, I know the strengths. I know I've seen the Pacers 2 years in a row. I've seen them like when when Lamont tried to tell me, oh, you ain't know about the Pacers. I say, Lamont, I just played them in a 7-game series last year. They basically have the same roster. They didn't add nobody special. They had Turner, Halliburton, Neesmith, Nemhart, McConnell. They just got Thomas Bryant.
I said, TJ McConnell played tough tonight. That's a tough dude.
Bro. How many times have I said every team needs a TJ McConnell? I said two things. I say every team needs, for the Knicks fan, Tori, you still here. I always say every team needs 2 Josh Hart and every team needs a TJ McConnell. These are the guys that are the super role players who you can always count on, whether they play, whether they make their shot is dropping or not. For those Knicks fans that want to talk about Josh Hart is overrated and want to get rid of Josh Hart, man, y'all need to chill the hell out. Because first of all, if we at the point where we need Josh Hart to drop buckets, then that's why the coach is fucked up. Because we shouldn't need Josh Hart to drop buckets. His buckets should be, you know what I'm saying? Josh Hart's job is to push that ball, play solid defense, and rebound the hell out of that basketball. But we should not be counting on Josh. Mind you, this is the same Josh Hart who dropped 20 points in 3 of the first 4 games against the Celtics. So if you don't tell me that Josh Hart showed up, Josh Hart ain't supposed to be scoring 20 points a night. His job is to do the in-betweens, color in the lines. That's the Josh Hart job. TJ McConnell is there to be ahead of that steal that he got. That probably won the game right there. That steal on the inbound. Because remember, OKC was up 4. Yeah. He got the bucket and he got the steal and the putback.
It tied the game up.
Yeah, tied the game in 95. That's the thing. Bro, if you don't got these type of play, see, we've gotten so idealistic to think that only star players are the only people that win championships. That's not how it go, man. That is not how it go. So I see it's getting late, man. I don't know, CW, you got to work in the morning, right? Well, he's around.
Oh yeah, I gotta work. Yeah, got 9 o'clock workouts.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. This has been fun. We're gonna wrap it up. JB, you want anything you wanna? I know I pulled you up here and I did most of the talking, but if you,
I'm just sitting there and enjoy it, man. Like I said, I have the only issue I have with the finals is spacing these games out an extra day than what I think. Now in the past, like in the 80s and 90s and stuff, even when they changed the format to 2-3-2, the finals would be on Thursdays, Tuesdays, and Thursday, Sundays, and Tuesdays. So you always knew what days the game was going to come on, depending on what day it's going to start. But for the game 3 to be on tonight, I think it should have been on last night.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
You know what it is, man. Yeah, you know what it is, Sue? Speaking of that, it's because they want the finals to go as long as it can go. And they're also low key letting the WNBA get a little promotion. And once the finals is over, now you turn it over to baseball. So they're trying to stretch it out as long as they can. And see, this is what happened when you was talking about Dan Patrick talking about the bag. That's why, because we got so many of these off days, these down days where we just waiting for the next game. Now LeBron comes in this news cycle with his stupid ass podcast where he's talking about defending himself for not having a bag. See what I'm saying? And then, now when content creators is reacting off of that and getting mind you, again, when I told you, Lamar, and when I told you, David, they ain't talk about none. I mean, CW about Lamar. They ain't talk about none of that mind the game stuff. They don't even mention it.
No, they ain't gonna talk about LeBron.
And then when we talk about it, all y'all can do is, well, guess what? Him making a declaration like that is why we got stuff to talk about. If he shut the hell up, but no, what he's doing. And again, he probably recorded this a couple of weeks ago, but he's got to know that everything he says, and when they release it, is going to make headlines.
He's trying to one up the final. Since he ain't there, he got to do something to make himself
no doubt
in the spotlight.
No doubt. You know what I'm saying? So look, yeah, they gonna have that, the draft, free agency. Then you gonna have because Bronny better go play something. If Bronny better go play summer league, he better get some more reps because he gonna be the backup shooting guard next year.
Oh, God, man.
Oh man, it's always fun
it's
going
hard for
live, bro.
fan out there. It's hard for y'all.
It's always fun going live, man. It was funny. It was funny too. Last thing I was talking to Johnny through the chat. We was actually talking about other content creators that he like and don't like, and obviously, in the space. And I was saying, like he was talking about Uncle Hoops. Uncle Hoops is not a guy to go live with because they even Sunday panel with Dart and them try to get him to come on. Yeah. He's not a guy that talks live. So some guys they can make videos, and some guys can go live. Some guys can do a combination of both. In particular, for me, I like it all, and I want to try to get. I want to try to start doing videos like Uncle Hoops and 93 Zay and all these guys. And AOH and all these. You know what I'm saying? I want to. We gotta start clipping up our shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's gonna be a lot of work and all that, and trying to grow in this stuff. But I really like it all, man. So,
it's a lot of work though. It's a lot.
I know, bro. And I really appreciate the work that you do, man, because you really kind of hold it down. You're the backbone of the channel, man. I really, like I said, always, I really appreciate having the opportunity, man. Just trying to do something over here, bro.
Nah, I enjoy y'all talking, and I learn from y'all. So I'm just
Me and Babe, we the old sages, bro. We and JB, we are the old sages. We definitely, we've been discussing bull hoops for damn near a decade, man, through Facebook and chats and shit like that. And you know what I mean? So yeah, we are, bro. I appreciate you guys. I really appreciate y'all for pulling up. This was a surprise show. We kind of filled in for the normal host, like y'all normal.
Yeah, we couldn't get the crew together tonight, so I appreciate y'all popping up and helping us get some content out there because we got to get the content out there. So I appreciate you guys showing up.
Yeah, no doubt. Philip asked where's Zay. Yeah, I think he told me he had a shift. He put in his 2-week notice, but he got a couple shifts he got to do before. So I think he said he might be there for game 4 or whatever. We'll see. We'll talk in the meantime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So appreciate you guys, man. And catch y'all on the next one.
All right, y'all.
All right, gentlemen.
All right.
All right, later now. Have a good